shamanic drums. Should be interesting. Donna, how are you this evening? Just waiting for Kenzie. So, tag your friends, groups, enemies, loved ones, unloved ones. And as soon as she's coming on, we'll get her on. Okay? And love and ethics tonight. I wonder where we're going to go with this one. This should be quite interesting. So, just wait for the lovely Kenzie. Yeah, just chill a little bit with some drum music. And she'll be here shortly. I'll bet the weather is just beautiful in Australia. But it's not bad here. We're in the upper +1s, +2s. But it's warm, so to speak. Yeah. So I'm just waiting for Kenzie to drop on in. And as soon as she's in, I'm going to bring her on. And let's see where we go with this. Love and ethics. What a topic. How do we apply love and ethics, or ethical love? Is there such a thing as ethical love? That's what we're going to explore tonight. We're going to see exactly where it goes. And lovely Kenzie's just getting herself ready. Ladies, they take their time, which is normal. And it's perfectly okay. Because they're ladies. Lovely to see you, so to speak, as well, Donna. As much as I don't see you, we're just getting ramped up. Why, thank you, Jill. Yeah, it's airy, because I think we're going to raise the energy tonight a little bit, especially with Kenzie. And some of you know Kenzie, some of you have reached out to her, and she is a powerhouse in many ways, okay? Young powerhouse, if I look at where I am in my age at time. But age is just a number, right? So when we think about it, where are we going to go with this conversation tonight? And just wait until she gets here, okay? Grab something to drink, maybe. Adrienne, good evening. Adrienne. I have to look sometimes at the names to pronounce it rightly. I don't want to misinterpret a pronunciation of a name, but I think we know, or at least we know our names, right? Does it matter? Here we come. So give it a second or two. She should be coming online. Should be. I hope I hit the button rightly. Maybe. We'll see. Let's see where she is. See? Gotta make sure you're connecting. There she is.
Hello.
There's the beautiful Kenzie. Look at her. Just glowing. Look at she's got her star lamp going. She's got the cosmos in check.
Yeah. Got my alien.
You got your alien. Oh boy. I got my wizard with me. Have you seen my wizard?
No.
Let me show you the magical wizard. Okay. So he's a
Ooh, look at that.
Look at this, eh? Isn't he magical?
Oh, what's he got on his little his staff?
A turquoise stone.
Ooh.
It seemed to be
turquoise.
quite fitting. With my eyes, when I get it close to my eyes, it's depends on the sun.
Yeah, with the sunlight. I was gonna say, look at my turquoise alien.
Oh, look at this. Did you paint this?
I did.
Wow, Kenzie, you're more talented than I thought you were.
Yeah, I know. I was more talented than I thought I was.
See the surprise? Okay, the surprise on how we can get. So I've got both. I got the other camera going too, so we can see, any comments that comes up, because I know you can. I think you can see comments on your side.
I can't.
Okay. Well, then I'll be the translator. So, oh, Kenzie,
Okay,
hi.
yeah. If I've got
Can we do
if
this?
I have it that way,
So we can go up this way, see?
and then like this.
I think this is going to be
Yeah.
a very beautiful topic. Okay. In fact, it's been resonating, thinking about this all day long. You know, love, ethics. Is there such a thing? Is there ethical love when we think about it? Or is love ethical? Can it be? And what is ethics that it means? I mean, that you threw this subject out, and I went like, okay, let's run with it, see where we go. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are fighting with both of it. We're fighting with what the essence of love is, but we're also fighting with this essence of what is ethical. Okay. Now they're saying that you can swipe to the left or to the right, and you might see comments. But
Oh.
oh, there she goes. See,
Okay.
she learned something new. There we go.
I can see. Yeah.
So she can see comments on her side. I can see comments on my side. So we're doing good. So that way, if anybody, feel free, if you have questions, of course, and we'll try to answer them as much as possible from two different perspectives. What is really beautiful, I think, with what we're going to do tonight is, well, they say age doesn't matter, right? But, I do have 60 years almost on this earth, okay, in this timeline. That's in this timeline, okay?
Oh, tell me about all the other
Oh, my
ones.
God. If we go into that, we're not going to talk about love and ethics because it's been quite the timelines, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's right. It's like, how many times can we see the same story over and over and over and over and over and over again? And
how many times do we repeat the same pattern?
The same patterns. Even if we don't believe in previous timelines, maybe we're just in this one timeline. How many times have we repeated the same things that we've been programmed to believe in?
The same year over and over and over again.
We've learned that, okay, well, that's love. Well, yeah, I guess, if they hit each other, it's got to be love, right? Okay, or if they yell at each other, it's, well, you love each other, right? No. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Now, everybody, of course, if you don't know Kenzie, I'll let Kenzie introduce a little bit about herself, what she does as this enlightened, young, beautiful soul. Okay, because she has got a lot of things going for her. She's high energy. I'm working with that. Okay, I am getting that tune. See how high energy she is? She turns it right up to the electrical current.
My music just started playing.
See, one of the things that I'm going to introduce shortly at Clarity is what we call the alchemized earthing. What is? She's looking at her hollers.
My phone's dying, so I gotta plug it in
Oh,
now.
all right, there she goes. She didn't charge her phone up. Okay, she's so charged with energy that she. You know what? There was an interesting thing that I saw today. When you plug your phone in and talk, here we go. We're looking at this. Okay, we'll give Kenzie a little bit of time here. I told you she's high energy.
Hello, everyone.
There she is. She's back. Okay.
There,
Okay.
we're good now for real.
Just before we really get into this, I looked at I saw this video today, and it showed a voltmeter on taking a telephone, plugging it in, putting it up to your ears, and then measuring the voltage going through your body. You aware of that? How much EMF frequency is being generated when we pick up a telephone and we speak with it? We can measure it. In fact, you can measure it right down to your toes. That's how much energy that is going through us. And many people don't really understand this, is that we are electrical beings. We're energy. Okay? And the problem that many of us have is we're not grounded. Okay? And this is what's going to be coming up very, very soon, is to teach the essence of grounding, earthing. Okay? Earthing means ground because earth is ground. In fact, look at every electrical circuit, every electrical device that plugs into electricity, there's an earth ground. Why? Have we ever looked at that? But that's a whole other topic. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's come back to love and ethics. And seeing as we got a split screen, we can play one side, where, you know, love, ethics on this side, or ethics and love on that side. You know?
Oh, ethics. No.
Yes. Do we love ethics? Well, it depends. You know, there's ethics that, from a personal perspective, you know, what are your ethics towards yourself? That's very important. You know, your morals, your beliefs, your understandings, and how does that apply in a day-to-day business with loved ones, friends, business, you know, walking in a park with the chipmunks. I mean, there are some ethics. I mean, some will feed the chipmunks, some will throw things at the chipmunks. You know what I mean? Okay, so where are we with this ethic response? There is an ethic responsibility. We're responsible to our actions. So what comes from me in regards to ethics is, where is my authenticity and my truth? Speaking in my truth, being authentic, taking it to, how does that interact with an ethical approach? In a day and age where what's happening is we're seeing that males and females are sort of distancing because of the, you know, the things that have happened, the power movements, the uprisings, all of the different group movements and so on, that still hasn't brought people together. It is still keeping people sort of separated in groups and group movements and group beliefs. But coming back to this connection of ethics with love, if we're in love with self, for me, means that there is no boundary. There is no group structure that says, well, my love only stops right here. And my love is giving. It is willingness. And that goes for anybody that I meet, in the sense that I'm offering love. It's not the sense of, you know, an intimate love relationship, but I am offering love, you know, generosity, a smile, a hug, a tear sometimes, because we share in emotions. Okay, so enough of my little chat up the top of it. I'm going to give the platform over to Kenzie, and she can talk a little bit about her, and I'll just zip up and listen.
Okay. Well, I mean, first and foremost, my name is Kenzie. Thank you all for being here and joining us today, whether you're tuning in live or, you know, not. But yeah, so I'm Kenzie Kostar. I work a lot with energy. As you can see, I am high energy. I do have a lot of energy, and I think it's been a constant process and theme in my life to learn how to manage my energy, not just for myself, but also for other people. Because, you know, as a child, I was very wild and expansive, and I could fill up the room very quickly. And so I began to learn that maybe that was not lovable at some times, right? That's how it felt, that's how it was perceived. And so I realized, ooh, like maybe I need to tone it down, right? And so I would start to hide my energy. I would start to become very timid and shy versus being very open and expansive. And, you know, because I was not living in my true nature for a majority of my life from my childhood, now I'm finally stepping out. Being 24 years old, I'm finally stepping out into integrating this high energy in all areas of my life, in all aspects, and not just, you know, in my personal or private relationships, but really for everybody. But finding that balance between not being too much energy and too overwhelming for other people, while also simultaneously being calm and cool and collected, right? Because there is a time and place for both. And so I think, you know, going into our topic for tonight with ethics, there's a few things that go along with it, which are your beliefs, what you believe to be true for yourself, for other people, societal norms, societal beliefs, as well as values. And so values can serve you as guiding posts or flag posts in terms of what do you value in your life, and how do those values lead to your ethics, and your ethics being something that help you gauge how you make a decision, right? Like the chipmunks in the forest, are you the person who's trying to throw things at them, or are you the person who is trying to, you know, bring them to you so you can get closer to them and love on them, right? Like there's two sides. And so, you know, I guess with that being said, our ethics really start to become determined by our decisions.
Yeah.
And then our decisions are made based on those values that we hold for ourselves, those belief systems that we have. And, you know, when we're thinking about decisions, we make upwards towards like 35,000 decisions every single day. Okay. Those could be like little decisions like, am I going to put creamer in my coffee this morning or not? Like, you know, everything is a decision.
Wow.
It's just
30, how many? 35?
35,000.
35,000 decisions in a day.
Upwards too. Yeah.
Oh my God, I got to take a look at that one, because if I break that down into that 1,440 some odd minutes, I mean, like, really?
Yeah.
Yes. That's thousands of decisions per minute. How many seconds? My God.
Yes, and when we think about how many thoughts we have in a day, we have upwards to 90,000 thoughts. Upwards. So we could be, you know, below that, but that's like kind of like where we start maxing out is, you know, someone like me, I know I've got very high energy. I'm thinking quickly and all the time and probably in circles most of the time. And then when we, you know, look at our thoughts in that capacity, it's also said, and studies have shown that out of these, you know, potentially 90,000 thoughts that we're having in a day, we're also repeating the same thoughts about like 90% every single day. So this is how we become cyclic and habitual in nature, not necessarily to our greatest benefit, but sometimes based on our old programming.
Would this be, programming? So for an example, there is freedom of thought, and then there is thought that has been programmed. So, you know, what we've learned, what we find in our decision-making process is part of this, you know, accumulated wisdom, for one, and accumulated, programmation, for two. Okay, so the difference between the two of them. So what we've been programmed to believe in is an automation. Okay, so it's like, okay, here's the question, here's the response, because we've been programmed by this thought or process of thought versus freedom of thought, where freedom of thought is, for me, it's not in the programmation. It is in this, I'm in the present moment right now. So there, it's free flow. If I'm not connected, earth, for one, if I'm not grounded, then I'm definitely all over the map with my thought process, because I'm not in the present moment. So this is where decisions that are ethical is, I think it's fundamental, is that we're in the presence of where we are in the moment of making that decision, versus based upon the decision that is the automation from, you know, past traumas, past whatever has taught us how to, okay, I'm going to respond like this. So you did this, I'm going to get angry. Or this is going to happen and that's going to happen. So it's to reset it. So coming back to our ethics, you know, we could ask 1,000 people of what ethics are, and we'd have 1,000 different responses.
Yeah.
So if we chose one foundation of what is ethical, one process, what would that be for you?
What would that be for me? I think doing what's right for me right now.
Okay, that's very good. Okay, so it's the same thing. So I'm following in line exactly what you're saying, because what I decide for in the moment is for me. You know, it's not selfish. Definitely not. I mean, there is differences. I mean, if we're selfish, well, that's a whole other ball of wax. But
see, and that goes to intention. Yeah. What intention are you? You know, the intention you put behind anything is everything. Like that's where it's all rooted from. It's like, do you intend? Yeah. Do you intend to hurt someone? Do you intend to self-serve? Do you intend to? Yeah.
Just looking at some of the comments, so it's like now people. Anyways. we'll come back to those. So coming back to this essence of, again, ethics, I mean, it's quite vast. We can take ethics and say, well, how does that apply in consumerism, as an example? you know, the product that we're buying, is it ethical? Is there ethics behind what is being made by this company? So if we love a product, do we understand its ethics? You know, is it ethically produced? Is it with ethics, good ethics and good intent for us to use as a product? And we had a discussion about skincare. Okay, how much of it did you believe in it that, oh, this is a great product, this is a great product because of the marketing behind it, the ethics that they're saying, this is going to, you know, work miracles on your skin. And
oh yes, 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 yes. Oh yes. See, that gets me fired up because, you know, first and foremost, I want to preface this by saying, you know, yes, 100% you can look outwards to the companies and the consumers and say, do they have ethics?
yeah,
But you will not know or even have that on your radar if you do not have your own ethics, if you're not grounded in your own core and your own principles. Because if you don't have that for yourself, then you won't have a gauge to actually go out into the world with. You'll just be kind of taking what comes to you, you know, whether consciously or unconsciously, and become conscious of your own ethics and your own values. It's like, you know, for me, my 3 guiding values are spirituality, fun, and growth. So if it doesn't have something to do with spiritual nature, sacred nature, I know it's not aligned with me, my core. If it's not fun, it's not worth my time. And it's like, if I'm not going to grow from it or learn something from it, whatever that is, you know, person, place, thing, whatever, like, it's just, I know it's not aligned for me, right? So everything in my life has to have, you know, at least 2 of those things, if not all 3 of those things, for me to be able to move forward, you know, feeling good within myself. But in terms of, you know, ethics, that's where, when I started my whole journey of like coming out of my anxiety and my, you know, panic attacks and healing myself and all of.
Oh, we just lost her voice. Oh, now she's back. Okay.
My time limit come on because it's late and it's kind of not on my apps. So yeah.
All these young souls that got to get these extended hours of sleep.
Now it's something I can hear myself in the.
Yeah. Wonder what's going on. Have you got the okay? You're on your phone, right? Okay, so you should be. It should be. I mean, I'm hearing, but I am hearing a little bit of an echo. What about me? Are you hearing an echo? Here we go. We'll open the side this way. Go this way.
I don't think it's me.
It could be the lag. You know, there might be something going on with the internet as well. You know, it's like, you know, that maybe people don't, or the technology doesn't want us talking about love and ethics. You know, maybe we're hitting some keywords or something, and they're shadow banning us because we're talking about love and ethics. Like,
okay, I try to rejoin because it's like it's getting louder for me.
Okay. Try again. Say something and see if it's showing.
Oh, I still hear our conversation going.
Okay, let me see. Sometimes this happens. So I pulled the music down, see what happens now. See if it's not, if it'll save maybe on bandwidth as well. So we'll see if that's going to help. Or we're getting lag, one of the two, it could be. But we'll keep going and see what happens.
Oh, it's like, it sounds like there's 2 people talking right now. Like, it's like.
Well, we talk to ourselves, don't we? Oh, this is going to get hot and wild. I can see what's going on with this one. Okay. And already the energy is vibing. Okay. And a lot of things that, you know, when we connect like this, and others as they're connecting, and we're at actually 11 groups, Jamie says she hears you fine. So it might be just feedback coming towards you, or feedback, you know, with the combination of the 2 connections going on. Earplugs. Okay. She's saying, see, I'm using a very unique microphone that plugs into my telephone. So it's totally different. Okay. So sometimes with telephones, you might want to try with the headset, or if you have a, you know, your earplugs and headset, sometimes that helps as well.
Okay. I don't have my headphones in.
Oh, she just froze. We'll wait patiently. Okay. Well, Don, I know you can hear. We'll wait for Kenzie, see what's happening here. And again, it might be due to, who knows, with the internet. Oh, she just disappeared. Okay, just me. Love and ethics. She'll be back, I'm sure. So she'll reset and see what happens. Okay. What we were going into, and if you wish, you can start tagging friends, bringing more friends in. She'll be back on here very shortly, and we'll get it all straightened out with technology. Hopefully. We'll try. Oops, here she comes again. Let's see. There we go. And we'll wait patiently. Here she comes. Ding, ding, ding. Good evening, Vicky. Ah, there she is. See?
I'm back. I don't know what happened there.
Well, you know what? It might have something to do with earthing, because if you're not grounded, technology can do some funky things at times. Have you ever noticed that when you pick up something like a device or a remote control or something like that, and you pushing the buttons and it doesn't work, and yet you pass it over to somebody else and it does work?
Mm-hmm.
You ever seen that? I've seen that. Okay. That's a whole other story. We can go. We'll stay away from that story.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, because if not, we'll become undergrounded, and we're going to take everybody with us, and
Yeah.
it could be a nice trip. Okay,
Yeah.
when we think about it.
Be fun.
Okay, but just before it froze up and locked up, we were talking again about, you know, purpose of ethics, and we had talked about you know, the essence of the journey when you started going, which is maybe something for you to, the ladies would, in fact, everybody I think is going to be, tongue twisted. It was going to come out, but it went out the side. So we'll come back to it, step back, call back, you know, reflect.
Yeah.
Now, Anthony, good day. We got Anthony. Australia is really early tonight. Wow. Okay, or early in the morning, wherever they are. So in regards to skincare, there's part of something that comes in this. Ethics is in part of it. Okay, what are your ethics towards how you look after your skin, how you treat your skin? You remember what I told you about the hands, you know, the energy, the purpose, the intent. Okay, have you noticed the improvement with your skin?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And I'm gonna stop eating chocolate.
Oh,
So
well, that's why I would. I like chocolate if it's good chocolate.
Become a little bit of a habit, so to speak. And I think it's actually affecting my skin. So now that I'm tuning into my skin and listening to myself and my skin a little bit more, I'm being told that this is what I need. So
I wonder who told you that. Huh.
I know.
Aha. So this is something that even men can learn.
Yeah.
And it surprisingly is that you would have probably thought that as a man, what would I know about skincare? But there's something that goes to that's very, very important. The last 4 letters, care. Care has ethics behind it. When we care about self, when we have self-love, when we have self-respect, we have ethics with self, because we make better choices, hopefully. We'll still make mistakes. I mean, we're perfectly imperfect, right? But I see the glow in your skin. I'm quite impressed.
I mean, I still have a little bit of cover up on.
It's, you know what, it's normal.
The cover up's sitting better.
Yes, okay. But what I am noticing, okay, is there's a glow in your face. Your skin is glowing. Okay. And even though that, yes, okay, cameras can be, you know, forgiving, I can see through it as well, because I understand technology quite a bit, and I can go beyond what the camera is actually showing. So, and I can feel this with you as well. And I can see just by the look in your eyes that, you know, there's been a shift over the last little while. Okay. And, you know, is it maybe a reinforcement of some of those ethics in many ways? Is that a possibility?
That is a possibility. Yeah. I didn't look at it like that.
Ah, okay. So can we apply, if we take the word ethics, is it possible to apply it in every instance of our life as an example?
Hmm. You're asking me that?
Yes. Or
Yes.
your or
Oh.
your perspective on it, maybe.
I mean, I think it goes back to, knowing your core. And when you have that core, at least you have something to come back home to. Because I think, like you said, with getting lost in the mind and the energy, it's like we get so easily lost in ourselves because we don't actually know ourselves. And when we're lost in ourselves because we don't know ourselves, we become lost in the world. There's so many facets and avenues and opportunities and choices and decisions and people, places, things, and everything's moving at such a rapid pace and things are so fast and it can feel so, hard to keep up if
Mm-hmm.
you're grounded and if you're not grounded in yourself and what's true to you. And, I think once you do have that, then yeah, 100% you can live every day ethically to your standards, not putting that standard on a pedestal or, expecting too much out of yourself or trying to be imperfect,
Okay.
or try to appease other people's perspectives and viewpoints. But if you are grounded in yourself, you won't be looking at other people and other people's perspectives and viewpoints, trying to mold and chameleon and shape shift into their values, whether they have them consciously or unconsciously.
Very true. Very true. And I think a lot of it, when we take that perspective, also it's in our conversations. So when we engage in conversation, if we're engaging in an open avenue of conversation, then there's a good intent that's in this conversation. We also have the ethics in what we understand in hopefully in communication, where I think that's part of the problem today is because where is communications when we
Oof.
think about it?
Well, how do we communicate? Because
Ah,
we're taught how to communicate, right? This is an essential tool that
yeah,
we're gifted with, is our mouth and our words and the ability to speak vibrations into sounds that make sense to other people. And
right.
so it's like we're not taught how to communicate. So usually what ends up happening is we get very aggressive and defensive. And then there's a lack of being open and responsive to what's even being said because it's not being communicated in a, maybe kind way.
I like just to throw a kind of winger into this. I like what Anthony has just said. He says, "Be water, flow past any obstacles like a river flowing past rocks, sticks,
Mm,
trees, and so on and so on and so on." So a lot of us say, "Well,
mm,
water is life." We know we need water. We also need oxygen. Okay, so breath is first and drinking is secondary after we breathe, because if we don't breathe, we can't really drink water, right? Okay, because we're not breathing, we're not alive. But in this aspect of the ethics behind it, if we look at truly how a river flows, and then this is what I like what Anthony has said, is that it's this continual momentum of energy. It's
yeah.
flowing. It's constantly evolving, constantly changing. It's finding new paths. It's going around the obstacles. It's gathering more width as the rivers. If we look at a raging river, it's
Mm,
gathering more width. It's gathering more momentum, and it's in this free flow of this energy. So when we apply this to communications, if we have a free flow in our verbos, where it is with good intent. Now there's the key. It's with good intent. We can have free flow in verbos, which is not good intent as well. We know what happens with that. Okay, so we get into the conflict of the communications, and we lose ethics, because now when you're in this conflictual conversation, now there's no ethics that are there, because you've lost one, love. There's no love in this conversation if it's taken off on a bad route. Okay, we've lost the ethics, and now we're in a hoopla. So if we come back to this essence of what's important, okay, you know, for me, what's important is my well-being, where I am in the moment, what I see, and what I know as my truths. So I walk in that truths, even if I make my mistake in that truth. At least I know where I am in the present moment. So this intent, this good intent is always there. Now it can get sidetracked. I mean, that happens, right? You know, where we have good intent and something pulls us off in a way and throws a whack into our thought process. And, you know, we're trying to level it out. But we're not leveling it out if this conversation has gone into just the hoopla. So there's no longer any bilateral communication. So again, there's no ethics involved. And if we have ethics to start with and listen with our ears open, so we're fully engaged, we're seeing the other person, we engage in conversation. So now we have an ethical balance. Okay, if we look at it, we can explore and expand this ethical or ethics in such a vast variety of placements. So it can be in our communications, it can be in our actions, it can be in what we buy, it can be in what we sell, it can be in, you know, it's 360 degrees and then some. So if you come back to the simplicity of it, if we look at ethics and simplicity, what for you would be the most simplistic viewpoint of coming towards applying ethics in conversation?
Applying ethics in conversation. I mean, for me, like we kind of talked about, I guess just coming from good intention.
Yeah.
But also one of my rules of thumbs, which is something else that really helps keep me on track, is that clarity is kindness, right? So when you're blunt, sometimes that can be rude, right? And sometimes, you know, you just have that reactionary response. We all have a reactionary response.
Yeah.
We all have trigger points. And so it's knowing first and foremost, like what your triggers are, so that when you are in a relationship or a, you know, partnership of any kind with anyone, really, you know what your triggers are so that you can catch them, so that you don't, so that you have more awareness to respond versus react, I guess. But also for me, it simply is that clarity is kindness. So how can I say something in the clearest way, yet the kindest way, to communicate where I'm coming from? And I speak from a place of, you know, asking for respect and establishing the boundaries around that respect.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've learned more so recently, is this play with boundaries. but learning those boundaries and really picking out the key things that make a boundary important to me. And so one of my boundaries for sure in all my relationships is I need to be feeling like I am respected, but also taking responsibility for my own feelings, right? Because sometimes we look at others and we say, you made me feel this, but that is placing your blame essentially and responsibility on someone else's shoulders, when it's your responsibility to take ownership for how you feel, how you're responding, how you're reacting. And it's always bringing it back into that choice. So for me,
yes, very much agree with that. You know, it sometimes, like you said, you know, it can be blunt. Truths are blunt. Sometimes they're pleasant to hear, sometimes they're not pleasant to hear. You know, when somebody is calling you out in the perspective of they feel that maybe what you're saying they don't believe, that belongs to them. Now, if we engage in it, why do we engage? Are we trying to prove something, or can we just pull back from it and say, you know what? Believe what you want. As long as we know that with intent and what we know is our truth, then it shouldn't matter what the other is thinking about me. And this is where we get caught, because we want the other to think about us, but we don't want them to think about it in the way that they're thinking. Okay, so that what they're seeing, and I say, like, sometimes what you see as your mistruth towards me is quite simple. Here's my glasses, put them on, because that's what you see.
Right. New perspective.
And, you know, in that aspect of it is I'm holding ground to me, because I'm not going to attempt to valorize myself and trying to justify that I know what my truth is. This is what it is. I've said it. Why do I have to say it again? If you don't want to believe it, that belongs to you. And it's to let go of it. But sometimes that's the hardest thing, because we want them to see our truths. We want them to hear what we're saying. But the problem is they're not. So what do we do? And this is where, you know, our own ethics towards self, clarity, kindness, self-respect, or the aspect of love of self. Love is respect. Without respect, there's no love. So it needs both of them. Okay, if I love you as a friend, it's because I have respect for you, for one. Okay, I have trust. I have, well, trust I can, that's a whole other ball of wax. Okay, I have confidence. Okay. My trust needs to be maybe it needs to be, I hold it back a little bit, because one, maybe from past experiences, being overly trusting, and then, well, you know what happens. Okay, so now I pull it back. So if I say to somebody, well, if they say to me, well, you don't trust me. No, it's not that I don't trust you. You have to earn my trust. Okay, and it doesn't mean, sorry?
How does someone go about earning trust?
Show me you're true to self. Show me that you can speak in truth without, you know, going off to try and prove that you're somebody. Be you. Be you, be real, be authentic, be genuine, and trust is there. If I sense that you're not real, if I sense that you're not being authentic, if I sense that you're not being genuine, I pull my trust back. I have confidence. I can be willing to hold space or curate space for you, of course. But my trust, I keep it in my pocket, because I sense that. You know, I sense that. And in fact, I sense things in many people. And I can sense where I have to pull my trust back, because if not, it's going to come back to haunt me. Right. And that's by experience. And I'm not saying that that's the norm, but that for the majority of the times, especially with meeting somebody the first time, you know, I give you the benefit of the doubt, of course, okay? And then I allow you to show who you are. Tell me who you are. In fact, you don't have to tell me, you just show me. I can see it by the way you walk, by the way you hold yourself, by the way you use your gestures, by the way you look at me. If you can look at me in conversation, then that's good. Okay, if you can't look at me in conversation, then I question. Right. Like, are you afraid that I'm going to see within you? Right. Yeah. Well, I always.
Okay, so this is actually, so I did a thing recently, which is I did a challenge to kind of introduce myself back into love. Right? Just to be open to love, open to relationships. So I did this challenge, and one of the challenges said to ask your friends to set you up on some blind dates. And so I went on a blind date today. And so in doing that, I promise this has something to do with what we're talking about. And so in doing that, you know, I was having this conversation with, you know, this man who I have never met before. I had no idea who he was, like literally until, you know, minutes before I walked in. And so with that being said, I noticed how he held back. And he would say things like, oh, I can't tell you all my secrets. And, you know, I was kind of like, oh, interesting. Okay. Okay.
If you were a woman and said that to me already, that's just me, of course. Yeah. Okay. But if we can't have an open conversation in the moment of trying to, you know each other, then if you come out and tell me right off the bat that you have secrets you're not going to tell me, I've already got a doubt in my mind. Yeah. You know, that's me, of course. Yeah. Okay. You know, and that would make me feel uncomfortable, because now who am I sitting with? Right. You know, it's like, if you can tell me this, are you showing me the real you? Or have you got a mask on? Are you trying to portray that you're somebody? Are you trying to impress me? You know what? You'll impress me the first 3 seconds. And if you haven't done that in the first 3 seconds, you're going to have a challenge.
It's the aloofness, right?
Yeah.
yeah, it's like the water, you become fluid and you just, you know, you kind of
Yeah, I would probably been looking for the riverway to go say, I'm going rafting right now. See you later.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Ask me, I will tell you all. Anthony, what am I going to ask you? Anthony says, come up. He says, I'll go on a blind. Anthony says he'll go on a blind date with you.
Oh, Anthony.
Oh, and he's an unbelievable soul. Okay, like well, he's got experience. He plays music. He's a composer. He's an artist. He feeds the magpies. Does lots of things. And I think anybody who can feed magpies is already good in my book, because most people look at magpies and say, well, hey, they're a pain, right?
Yeah.
But they're not. Okay, I mean, we all have, our limits and boundaries, and I think this is what, in part what you've been exploring as well, and I still, I still explore limits and boundaries, and I push my limits and boundaries. Okay, and I always have been like this. In fact, I cross my own boundaries, but I own it. So if I've crossed my boundary, I know I've crossed that boundary, and whatever the outcome is going to come from it, I own it. I will not blame another because I have turned around and made an ethical call to cross my boundary. And it is an ethical call because I'm applying confidence with self.
So how do you know when you've crossed a boundary with yourself? Like that's
Oh,
almost
my energy tells me that. Oh, I know. Okay. If you truly know yourself, Kenzie, and I mean know yourself, you know your capacities, you know what you're capable of doing with your hands, with your voice, with your demeanor, your posture, your poise, okay, everything about you, the way you dress, the way, everything that you've chosen as your person, you know yourself. You're not doing it to impress the world. There's enough influencers out there and trying to impress the world. We can go into that whole other side step, okay? But how many of them have this authenticity and they're genuine? And are they applying ethics to what they're trying to show us or teach us or tell us? Or is it just about, well, here's a product.
Gotta look good.
Gotta look good. Oh, hey, got a line, what we can do there. Gotta plump it up. All of these things that we can take away from this ethical self. The ethical self is your spirit for me. If your spirit, if you've come to connection with it, then ethics are free flow. We know what's right and wrong. We know what good intent is from bad intent is. We know what morals are. We know how to choose right from wrong. Okay? And if we cross these boundaries, we also know. Okay? There's no way that somebody can say, well, I didn't know I crossed my boundary. Well, no, you did know you crossed your boundary. You just didn't pay attention.
Right.
Okay. So
didn't have clear boundaries. Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about ethics.
Yeah.
Okay. What about love? So you went on a blind date. What was, if I don't mind me to pry a little bit, what was your first impression?
First impression it was interesting because we were out. Okay, so first impression, okay, where does first impression start? Does it start via text? Does it start via the moment you meet a person? Where does that start, I guess, in what capacity?
Well, I'm old school. So,
or even before you text or meet the person, and it's like the energy vibe that you feel.
Okay. So at the moment that somebody says, well, you know what, I just set you up on a blind date. How do I feel with my energy?
I can tell you. I can tell you that. That's when it's most clear. So how I felt. So I have two down, one more to go tomorrow. And so.
You've gone on 3 blind dates?
Yes, I had asked 3 friends to set me up on blind dates for this time. So
you're brave.
So 2 down, 1 more to go. And the first one, I felt very no charge, like before anything, like, I don't know anything, is blind. But I felt no charge. And in a way, this is where then I start to wonder, is this cause and effect, right? Am I putting into cause this effect with my thought alone, right? Like, you know, this is where I start to trip myself up, I think, with my own energy.
Hmm.
But I felt no charge. And then, you know, we went on the date and, you know, lovely person, but like no charge, right? Like it just, there was no charge. And then the second one, I felt like, okay, this one I feel like will be like a good date, but probably like won't go anywhere, right? So then I start to now question, oh, is it even worth going? It's like, well, I guess I asked like my friends to set these up, so like I better go, you know, like, and so then you start getting caught up in like the reality of things, right?
Did
And
you
so then
check for the back doors in case you had to exit? In case?
yeah, I got a time frame, you know, boundary. And so this one was like, yeah, it was, you know, it was better, it was okay, but
Yep.
it's just, you know, it's just was still no. But I will say for tomorrow's, I have a little bit more like excitement and energy, and so I'm actually like looking forward to this one. And then what kicks in is my thinking brain going, oh, but you know, is that just me like getting my hopes up for nothing, right? Then it's like, oh, should I even feel, should I ride the wave of my energy? Because I can take it up there. Like I can go like all the way up.
Hmm.
But when I do, that means like there's more potential to like go all the way down. So
It's a
sometimes
long drop, isn't it?
yeah, and you get like the big butterflies. It's like skydiving. And so
Oh, okay. Well, tell you what, if I take you on a date, if we think about it as skydiving, that would be something.
I've been.
Yeah, it's now that opens up a question.
Hmm.
Does that mean that you are searching for love again?
Hmm. You know, no. In my opinion, no. How I view it is that I am just always open to love
Okay.
because I love, like, genuinely, like, from the bottom of my heart, like, I love people. I love, like, I'm a people person. I love talking to people. I love being with people. Like, I'm definitely like an extrovert, but I'm also an introvert. And so I think for me, I've just been open to love in whatever capacity that comes, right? But I mean, given that I did this challenge, you could say, yes, this feels like seeking in a way. And so this is where it goes into my manifestation principles of thinking, this kind of goes against my beliefs of like, I don't believe I have to seek for anyone or anything because I know it will come when the time is right. Like I know with my magnetic force, like if I focus intrinsically on me, what makes me feel good, fall in line with my values, like whatever needs to find me will find me. Whatever I need to find will be placed on my path because I can
Mhm.
trust that I am in alignment with myself and in my life for the most part. So whatever is placed on my path by the universe, I do trust that it's meant to be there.
Okay. Now, somebody said interesting. In fact, hi, Rosie. We haven't seen you in a while. So I don't know if you got banned or you, but she come up, she said this, she says, you have to meet a few frogs before you meet your prince.
Mm.
Okay. So that's from a lady's point of view. So how would I say that from a man's point of view? Do I
Mm.
have to meet a few? Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I will challenge that one. So
Uh-oh.
this is an interesting concept. So this is from the book The Queen's Code by
Okay.
Alison Armstrong. I think that's her name. She's amazing when it comes to like relationship advice and stuff like that. And so she actually talks about in this book how women are mostly frog farmers. Women turn
Frog farmers.
frogs. And this goes into the whole divine masculine and divine feminine aspect of, you know, Pandora's box that we, you know, don't have to open tonight. But
Yeah.
really what she's saying in this book is that how women, you know, actually emasculate men and how women turn men into frogs versus boosting them, you know, up and having this equal exchange of energy so that
Now I know why I'm single. you know, um, is that true? Is that how it works? I mean, look, I've been out of the dating scene for a very long time. Okay. So, 19 years in a relationship, and then 3 years and some, just finding myself again. Okay. So I know things have changed in today's world, of course. Okay. And in fact, I see the way it interacts. Sometimes it's a little bit too direct for me. It's like, no, it's like, but this from a man's perspective, and I think this is where a lot of men are being challenged, is that as women, you are becoming more blunt or brunt, okay, in many ways. And for many men, that is an intimidation because we're not used to it, for one, okay, and we don't know how to ride with this. I mean, I'm speaking on behalf of men. I mean, I'm not going to speak just for me. I'm going to speak on behalf of men. Okay. So when we're in this relationship, communication, build, or a date, again, I come back to the one thing for me as a man is that being a gentleman, always respect gentlemen, sit down, conversation, ask me any question you want. I'm open. I see things and so on. Okay. But if it's too overbearing, like too brunt, then I pull back.
Right.
Because for one, it's like, I love a strong character. Be strong. Oh, of course. Because if you can't stand on your 2 feet, then I'm not going to help you stand on your 2 feet. I've done that. Don't want to do that again.
Right.
Okay. Doesn't mean that I don't have the capacity to do so. But it means that it's not what I've learned. And that's not what I want to relearn.
I think I saw, was that Donna who popped up? Okay. I saw one about relationships are hard. And so I just want to bring awareness to that that is a belief. And that belief could be serving you or it could not be serving you. But it's to check in with that belief because, I would challenge that by saying, what if you tried on the thought, which eventually leads to a belief that relationships are easy? A man in your life or a partner, woman, man, which way, anybody goes. It's like having that partner in your life makes your life easier. It adds value to your life. And so once you start to change your perspective, viewpoint, change your thought pattern, change your belief about what you think, love is or what a relationship would bring to you in your life, if you see it from the perspective that you want to see it, that's what you'll ultimately start to attract. Because I do truly believe, I've been in, 2 relationships now. One was 4 years and one was 5 years back to back. 3-month break. So, for 10 years, basically, I've been going strong. And so it's like,
I got 30. A little bit more.
What's that?
I said, I got a little over 30 in 2 relationships. So it's,
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Well, you're
wow
putting a shame. Yeah, no.
Nah, it's not, there isn't in the sense of comparison. I mean, like, yeah, I'm been around a little bit longer, Kenzie. I mean, let's face it. Okay. So, in regards to relationships, I never was this type of a man that, how many scores can I have? I'm sorry, that's not me. Okay. Intimacy is very, very sacred. In fact, intimacy for me is where we create the greatest alchemy of all. And when we truly love each other, then intimacy is no longer a physical connection. It becomes an energetic connection. It becomes a spiritual connection. It becomes all of this. If it does not have the 3 parts for me of body, mind, and spirit, then the relationship is not going to work. Because I need spiritual stimulation as a man. I need physical stimulation. I need mental stimulation. And physical stimulation for me doesn't mean like you wear a pair of hot pants. You know what? That's not physical stimulation. That is visual stimulation. This is, okay, it sets something in motion, right? We know what happens when the way we dress sometimes. So we can be very provocative. We can be very inviting. Okay, but we're in a world today that as we dress provocative, we're also saying you can't look. And I see this happening many times. So men, for one, well, we need to understand something, okay, is that no matter how a woman dresses, is to see with, yes, eyes wide open, but to see with respect. For me, that is absolutely fundamental. If you cannot respect a woman or a male, vice versa, then you know what? You're better off not even going there. You're better off just not even trying to attempt something, because it's not going to work. For what cause? For to say that, well, I got another mark, or I got another relationship that I've had, another experience. I mean, I think maybe because I'm old school. You know, I grew up with certain things. I grew up with, you know, this looking at a relationship when seeing my elders that had been in, you know, 30, 40, 50 years together. Okay. My great grandparents, my parents, you know, my mother, when she passed away, my father didn't date, didn't even see another woman until the day he died. Then that was almost 19 years later. Because for him, that was the love of his life. That was everything. She was everything. She did everything for him. You know, as a man that couldn't read or write, I never knew. My mother kept that hidden from us. And that's how much love can be so strong. Is when I look at their relationship. And, you know, it wasn't easy. You know, there was their ups and downs. I mean, they went through their bouts of, you know, anger. They went through their bouts of stress, but they always stuck together no matter what. And in today's world, we chalk relationships off as almost like a piece of paper sometimes. It's okay, it didn't work, next.
Yeah, because it's become this disposable thing, especially with how easy online dating has become. And then COVID, everybody, you know, has even less of an opportunity to go out in public to meet somebody. So it's just become more prominent in terms of like, yeah, it's just swiping next. And I mean, you know, like for me personally, like I do not like that, because it is so it's like two completely different universes trying to collide, and you have no way to feel the energy, right? Like, I mean, yes, you can kind of gauge, you know, the vibe based on what you can read, if anybody wrote anything, you know, and pictures. But truly, I think, you know, at this point there should be some sort of video that like you have to post of like, hey, I'm so and so, and like here are like 3 little line prompts that they give you to like, you know, have something to like create a little something, you know, to go off of.
Doesn't online dating sort of look like a marketplace in today's world?
100%.
It's like what are we looking for in online dating?
Yeah.
Okay, and I haven't ventured that route. I mean, I met my last lady, okay? In fact, I met her with the very, very first internet dating site that started in North America. It was called Web Seduction. Have you heard? You haven't heard this story?
No.
Okay. Okay. Let me, story time. Story time. Okay. So,
oh, sorry.
okay. So here's a little story.
Okay.
First lady that I was with, that broke up, 3 years, stayed single. Okay, now I'm in the IT world, I'm in programming, I'm in web development, and all of a sudden comes this first website that opened up that was called Web Seduction. And Rosie, no, it's not pornographic. It was a French website, so it means different. Okay, okay. Mind you, I mean, on all these dating websites, I'm sure that goes on. Okay, but to cut to the chase of this story is that if you had read my profile, you had to be intelligent, because it wasn't 5 words. It wasn't like, well, I'm a fisherman and I'm a hunter and I do this. No, it was probably a good 1,000 words.
Wow.
And intertwined.
Before they maxed you, now it's like 200 characters.
I can't say, look at me. You see how I talk. Can you imagine me 200 characters to try and explain myself? It ain't going to work. Okay, I'm a little bit more complicated than that.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this whole profile, there was certain things that was in a story. and the story surrounded a rose. So throughout this 1,000 words, there were certain references to the rose, to the thorns, to the aroma, to the petals, to the sensuality, to the sensitivity. So you had to really read my profile to first off text me, because if you texted me, I would, the first thing ask, did you read my profile? And if you read my profile, then why are you coming towards me? You know, are you coming because I got beautiful eyes? Well, look, there's more to me than my eyes. Okay.
Right.
And so the whole story, but anyways, I had actually seen her profile a dozen times. I went back and looked, and I looked again and go, no, no. You know why? Because I felt it was going to cost me money. I got a bad experience. Because the first experience, yeah, it was, anyways, we won't go into that one. Okay. So here's my profile. I gone out on a couple of these dates. My God, you know, like, okay, it's like this lady says to me, okay, I'm interested in you. Let's go for coffee. And I go for a coffee. I don't remember what her picture looked like. So I'm looking in the coffee house. It's like, okay, where are you? I see a lady sitting by herself, but doesn't look anything like this picture. In fact, pretty far away from what this picture looked like. I mean, like, was that picture 10 years younger? So it's like, okay, respectfully, okay, I haven't got a lot of time, but let's have a coffee.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's it. So after a couple of experiences like this, I said, you know what? This isn't for me. I'm not into the bar scenes. I'm not into clubbing. I like to dance. That's fine. But when I go out dancing, I dance. That's it. And I'm not looking to rub and hub. Okay. So, rub and hub, the old saying. So anyways, I went back to my office and I said, I'm going to delete. That's it. I'm finished. I'm going to delete my profile. I just went to hit the delete key. And she popped up this message. And she says, come see the rose. That's all she said. That was enough to say that you read my profile. So a couple of conversations back and forth, and then decided to meet for lunch. And beautiful open bistro in Saint Denis, sunny day. But I've only got 30 minutes for lunch because IT guy, right? 30 minutes.
Okay.
I come out of my car, I'm walking, and I can see her, and I know it's her because she's got her back towards me. And I start shaking like a leaf. It's like, whoa, get a grip on yourself. What the devil's going on here? You're not afraid of people. Why are you vibing like this?
Right.
And as I come around the corner and I see her in the eyes, no shit, Kenzie, I cried. Tears started coming. It was like, this is not possible. And then I sat at the table, and I think we were silent for like 10, 15 minutes. I was trying to get a grip on myself, and she started to cry. So 30 minutes, 3 hours later, we hadn't eaten. We drank water. The waiter was pissed off at us. So I gave him a good tip anyways. And I went back to my office, and my head office calls and said, Gary, you weren't answering your phone. Where were you? I said, it's a long story. Okay, but it's a good story. And that's what sort of, that's how it started. Okay, so even then, the web seduction, the dating site was pretty much what we see it is today. So yeah, I had an experience with a web seduction site. And it was the start of a beautiful story.
Wow.
I can't look back at this story of 19 years and say that it was a bad story. Because if it was a bad story, what was I doing in it for 19 years? Okay, you know me. You in fact, in the short time that you come to know me, I'm the same person that what I was in that relationship. There is no difference. Okay, I am who I am, and always have been this way. So spirituality was number one, physical stimulation was number two, and mental stimulation was number three. But really, spiritual stimulation was number one. Was it love? Yes, it was love.
Rosie.
Imagine if you date tomorrow. Imagine if your date tomorrow approaches you crying. It's nice to see you back, Rosie.
Oh, I would die a little inside. Like, I don't know what I'd probably start crying too. Honestly, today, so it's funny you bring all this up. Thank you for sharing that story. I appreciate that. That's a beautiful story. Truly, that is. And the testament of just like time and how it disappears, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so today I went on a walk, the same walk that I took you on. It's this beautiful walk by my place, and you can see this, you know, whole view of Edmonton, the city. And I go on this walk, and then there was this older couple, you know, sitting on the bench today. And so I came and sat on the bench beside them, and, you know, we start talking. And we have this lovely conversation about just like how beautiful it is out today, and like, you know, just paths and nature, and you know, it was just so sweet. And I walked away and I started crying.
You
Like,
did?
yes,
Why?
I just had like tears like streaming down my face.
And your eyes are watering right now. Why?
I know. I don't know why. It makes me emotional. It was just so beautiful to like see these, you know, and I don't know them. I don't know what their relationship was. For all I know, they could have been fighting 2 seconds before I walked up there, or maybe they've been blissfully in love for the past 10 years, and they, you know, like, I don't know. I have no idea, but it's just, you know, like, she was such a beautiful person. He, you know, really tried to chime into the conversation, and it was just like, I don't know, walking away, I guess like a part of me just, you know, feels like love is so interesting, because there is so many different dynamics of like love of self, love of just people in general, love of nature, like love of like an intimate love, right? A deep love. And so, I mean, for me, I think I've naively, you know, for myself, like fallen in love in the past, where I just kind of like allow myself to fall and fall fully. And I believe, I also am a person who believes that I could fall in love with anybody. I really believe I could fall, you know, deeply in love with, you know, anybody, as long as there's a meeting of values and a communication that never, you know, disappears, right? A communication that's constantly growing, right? Going into values. But yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know, it's like you feel like you found that in the past, or at least I feel like I found that in the past, and I've lost that in the past. And so you start to wonder, like, what is love? And like, is love meant to last forever with one person, or is that an individual experience and decision?
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I can answer that.
Okay.
I think if you truly love somebody, and I mean unconditionally, then there's no time, there's no limit. When you are willing to sacrifice self, not in the sense that, you know what, I'm going to sacrifice my life for you, even though I probably would, because I would put myself in front of a running train if it was meant to protect the person that I love. That's how far I would go with it. Okay, and no hesitation whatsoever. And I believe that when we love somebody, that there is no expectation.
So then would go as far to say there's no expectation to find that mutual love back, to be in love? Yeah.
No, because I love freely. The other, I'm letting them evolve to be who they want to be. I've said it, you know, I use it many times in conversation. I say, love is letting others voluntarily evolve. That means I allow you to be you. If you want to climb the tree, go for it. Okay? I'm going to be at the bottom of the tree just in case you fall. You know, I'm going to allow you to climb that tree. I'm not going to stop you from climbing that tree. When I look back at elderly couples that have been together for years, do I believe that love can be eternal? Well, for self, yes. When it comes to self, loving self, it's eternal. I have no limits with the love of self. Absolutely none. Okay? But there is a limit to loving another. There is only so much that I can give in love towards the other. If you do not receive it, I can't force it on you. If I force it on you, I smother you. So it's to find a balance when we're in a relationship with somebody to, one, be attentive, listening, open, and this ability to have conversation. Because you can say, I love you, but that's, that's easy. That's easy to say. How many people say it and then right away they go out the door and talk to their friends and, God, I hate them.
But I guess there's two sides to that, right? Because some people do fall head over heels in love, and they are so in love and they want to express that love. Or, some people just say it.
Well, I say it like this, okay? Do I need a dozen roses to show how much I love you?
Mm.
Or can I say it with one rose? I think I can say it with one rose, because now I can hand one rose in my hand directly to you, versus taking a clump of roses and saying, here. I would rather have the one rose, and I might get a little funky and put it in my teeth and say, here it is. Come and get it. It's this aspect to be able to be playful with this essence of love, because love is a playground. It truly is.
Find someone to grow young with.
Sorry?
Find someone to grow young with.
Yeah, exactly. Why do we always say grow old with? I don't want to, you know what? I might be getting up in my years, but I don't look at it being I'm getting old. I look at I'm getting younger. I'm still playful. I'm still agile. I keep myself in that method or in that mode, because that's the way I see myself. If I stop and say, my God, I'm 60 years old, I mean, like, where's my cane, so to speak, or, it's like, hunched down, no. If you love yourself, it shows.
So then how rare is it truly to find two people who are met on the same page of being dually committed to unconditionally loving one another?
First thing, and I think Sandra just said this, is don't fall in love. Be in love. You fall in love, you fall out of love, because you've gone in it blindly. If you be in love, you grow in love, because love evolves. Each person evolves. And in order for that relationship, any relationship of love, for me and my perspective, is that it's not just, well, I love you, we got married, and that's it, game over. No, it's a constant input. The relationship that I have with the person that I love has got three parts: me, the other person, and the relationship between. So first off, I own 100% what goes into that relationship. If you were my lover, you would own 100% of what goes into that relationship. But we only own 50% of the health of that relationship each. So if I'm not taking care of the 50% of that relationship, the relationship is not going to work. It's going to fall apart. It's going to turn into a ball and chain. It's going to turn into a tug rope. It's going to turn into, it's no longer a relationship other than maybe a convenience factor. So what is love at the end of the day? For me, it's the end of the day that when I put my head on the pillow, that I can say, I love myself. And in loving myself, I can share love wholeheartedly, because I know what love is of self. And that's what I believe. I know what love is of Christ. I know what love is of the higher power. I know what love is of life all around me. Animals, aves, mammals, trees, flowers. You know me when they're essential oils. I mean, how do I show love in that? Because it shows me love through the respect of the ethical production. And here's where I can use ethics again, is that the oils have been produced by love and ethical. They've taken care of the crop. They've taken care of the land. They've taken care of the peoples. They're respectful. They're generous. They're open. And they're doing it in an ethical manner. So when I grab that oil and I put it up to your nose, you smile, or maybe a tear comes because it has energy. And that energy is a transmission of the love of you. Oh, I'm so proud, Kenzie. You have no idea. In fact, it's very emotional for me when I see those that have interacted with me and are wearing that pendant or carrying that pendant with them. It's not an achievement. It's an act of love. Because I've shared love with you. I've shared story with you. And then Gaia has shared her story with me. She's shared her magic. You introduced me to a friend of yours. Okay? I spent, again, another journey with her. And in fact, I was going to show the bottle, but I won't. Okay? And she'll show it in time. But even in the creation, there's love. I'm not underneath any pressure. You know, if I didn't get it to you tomorrow, don't hold pressure on me because I'm putting love into it. This is not a commodity. I don't produce these as a commodity. I produce these as an act of love to you, for you to find love of self. And when you brought that up to your nose, your eyes lit up. How can I not be proud of the achievement to see that you're wearing something that was created by me, and also the smell, the aroma was created by my intent. I can't say I created it. Gaia created it. I just curated it. And that's the beauty of the story, is that there's a new journey that's began with you. And these ancient or old oils that I have that are no longer available, you're sharing something that's part of my history. It's part of my experience, part of my memories. When I take Pink Lotus up, okay, it makes me cry. Why? Because there's a beautiful love story with it. When I take Jasmine up, same thing. There's a beautiful love story with it. So when I share this with you, I'm sharing my love with you. That is love. And it's done in a purpose that is very, very, we're very open with each other. We share in a depth of a story. So it has ethics behind it as well. You know, there's morals that go along with this to be able to open ourselves up to a stranger. I mean, you've known me for a little while, but yet you may feel you've known me all your life. Because there's something that I know that's inside of me that everybody resonates with. You see yourself. You know that what you see within me, whether it is a smile, whether it is an act of generosity, it's a reflection of you.
Very true.
That's
very true. And I think too that like everything you just said is a testament to when you are in like a love vibration of self, of life, how you live and lead your life. Ethics is a byproduct of love.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. Bingo.
Yeah.
I will in fact, 100%. Because now when you have love of self, you have ethics.
Automatically. And
it
that
empowers.
Whole, aspect of energy and chakras, and, thinking about how our lower three chakras are what roots us to the earth. And then we have our heart, which is our like human experience, the emotional haven of feeling and embracing and of love energy. And then you move up to the higher three chakras, which is like spirit and connection to dream, vision, inspiration, divine downloads, and the likes. And it's like, this is the bridge, and if you are not here you will not cross that bridge. And that's where people try to bypass. They maybe because they've been hurt in the past, maybe consciously or unconsciously, or even from childhood, right? Like where you've just maybe never got to experience that love. So I guess, I have two things that I really want to ask. One of them being like, if you've never been able to or felt safe enough to open up, what, like, how would one go about that in their life?
Know yourself. Come to know yourself. If you know yourself, you don't search for security in another. You don't search for purpose in another.
Right.
Because you can stand on your own. You can be well with yourself. You can sleep with yourself. You can wake with yourself in the morning. Your vessel body is just like Anthony said. He says, we are internal souls in the meat suit with only 5 senses. The soul is universal and the source within. So connecting to divine source is through the divinity within, through our balance of masculine and feminine energies, we come into this essence of oneness, which is the whole practice of yoga. Not Birkenhot yoga, but true yoga.
Yeah.
In fact, before even the pose, the essence of yoga is the spirituality, is the essence of love of life, love of self. Be with you. Because when you can be with you wholeheartedly and not have envy of another or a couple, then what we have is a purpose within. We have a purpose of love because we have love of self. Yes, I can be my own worst enemy at times.
So that's what I was going to lead into is, okay, so then how do we combat that other side of ourselves, that internal conflict or that internal struggle or battle or judgment and criticism and, like that aspect of self? How do you combat that with this love?
Because I'm perfectly imperfect.
Hmm.
Just like you are perfectly imperfect. So if I go into the combat, then I'm trying to find perfection. And perfection doesn't exist. Not in this plane. Not on this earth. In fact, the only state of perfection that exists is when you cross over. Then you're in state of perfection. Because now you're connected to the absolute source of divine. You are connected to the source of life, which is love. Love gives life. We see it in everything around us. Animals, aves, mammals, flowers, trees, oceans, mountains. The only species that cannot see this is humans, because we have lost connection with source. We've been misprogrammed. We have been diversified. We have been divided. We have been separated from the truth of source. We have believed in a scripture. Okay, here's the scriptures. Okay, well, if I do it this way, then I'm going to go to hell. So already we're in a state of irrationality versus coming back to truth of source. Look within. When we meditate, we breathe and we connect to life because we're breathing. It's a source. And then we connect to heart. And then we connect to spirit. And spirit sees divine because spirit is divine. That is the thing that all the world over the last number of decades has been trying to take away from us, is to take away the spirit. So we're left with a body and a mind. So the physical need, well, we get into relationships based upon physics. And we get into relationships based upon mental synchronicities.
Body chemistry.
Body chemistry. But where's spirit? Spirit in a relationship means that I know you have my back. If there's no spirit, if there's no spirituality in the relationship, then all I have is a body and a mind.
Okay, so let's dive into that. So when you say, that is one of your 3 in the Trinity, right? Mind, body,
Yes.
spirit. generally speaking, but also
Yes.
relationship, love, terminology. What is spirit in a relationship? Because what you just said is not something that was in my, realm of thinking, but I think is,
Okay.
whoa, like, yeah, like that's important. And that is spirit. So I guess
Did I
like,
just hit a switch?
yeah, like expand on that.
What, first off, what do we understand about spirit?
Hmm.
Spirit is this essence of freedom, for one. Okay? Because spirit has no restrictions. When spirit is free, it's connected.
Mhm.
It's connected to the earth as much as it's connected to the cosmos. We connect to this universal energy of life, which is love. Gaia shows you love. God gave you love. Jesus showed us love. He walked in it, he spoke in it, and he believed in it because he believed in spirit and he believed in his higher power and his Father. If we go into that story. So let's stay out of the scriptures and the religions with it. Let's look at the man. And the man that showed us that we could be kind and generous and helpful and willing to have a love of life and a respect of all peoples, no matter where you came from, what walk of life you came from. So if I have truth of spirit, then for me to love another or show a gesture of love is not hard. But in today's world, very few people understand this. They don't understand what consciousness is, or this God consciousness, or Christ consciousness. Again, it's not religion. The man existed, he walked the earth, we know he did. We can't deny that. We can look at Mary. She walked the earth. What did she do? We can go to the three wise men. They walked the earth. What did they do? They followed a star in a belief of spirit. And they were brought to an essence of the birth of a child, which was the essence of love. The purest form and the essence of love is the birth of a child. You were born in the purity of love. I was born in the purity of love. Every human was born in the purity of love. To move forward with love is to have no holdbacks. Do you have regrets in life? Do you have resentments in life? If you have regrets and resentments, then you haven't come to love of self.
Mm.
Until you surrender and let go of your yesterdays and all of the things that you wish you could change, because you can't. All you can change is where you are in the here and now. So if I allow myself to be free in this freedom of thought, freedom of verbos, in the moment where I am, I have the gift of life because I'm in the present moment.
Mhm.
That's spirit.
Okay. So that's spirit. Now, is that spirit in your relationship? Like, is that something that, like, how is that defined? Because
If we
respect,
can have discussion on spirituality, then yes.
okay.
There should be discussion on spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Not just like take it for granted,
Mm-hmm.
but because somebody picks up a Bible that you're spiritual.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Tell me your essence of spirit.
Right.
Show me your essence of spirituality, your kindness to other lives, to other humans. That will show me you have spirituality.
Okay. Yeah, I see. I see where you're coming from. And so this is me. Okay, this is me, the challenger coming up. So I recently saw a book. Okay.
Yes?
This book has appearance in my life twice now. And so to preface this, I'm a firm believer in the principle of, what Mother Teresa once said, where it's like, invite me to an anti-war rally, I will not attend. Invite me to a pro-peace rally, and I will attend. And the whole point is the intention and the focus.
Mm-hmm.
Because where energy goes, or where focus goes, energy goes, right? So if you're focusing on anti-war, you're still focusing on war. But if you're focusing on peace, you're the ultimate outcome that you want. And so the other day, a few weeks ago, I walked into the bookstore and there was this book, and it was orange, and it was, face out looking right at me. And it was called, something about like the laws of power. And so I was like, oh, like it's a very powerful book, this bright orange face out on the shelf. And I grabbed it and I looked at it. And of course, being into manifestation and the laws, I was kind of like, oh, the law of power. So I pick it up and I look at these, the index, and it was absolutely horrific what this book had written in the index of like deceit. And so after, I was like, whoa, like I just felt like I just like touched evil. Like it was just such bad energy. And so I put it back on the shelf, and then I was at my friend's this weekend, and here I am admiring all of her books. And then we started getting into a conversation. And then after, she went back up to her bookshelf that I just had looked at, and she grabbed a book that did not have its, binding face out. It was face in. So all I saw was the white pages, and I never really looked at it like that. And so she pulls that book off the shelf, and she's like, oh yeah, like look at this book. And I like, I was like, oh my God, like that's the same book that I just saw the other day. And so if you look, like you should look this book up after, just to see, like, this is the opposite of ethics. Like this is the exact opposite of ethics. And the fact that there is actually something like on the bookshelves that like readily available, to me is alarming to my ethics, because it's just like, what? Like what? Because he's like, this is like it, like some of the things we're saying, like gain someone's trust, and then this is how you break it. Like it was stuff like that.
So it was teaching, really?
Loaded. Like loaded.
First off, my question is, anybody that's picked up a book to read that is not the type of person I want to talk to, first off. Because if you have to look at how to destroy trust, or understand how to destroy trust, or any emotional whatever, this is dark energy. This is bad energy for me.
Yeah.
There's a couple of comments, so I'll step back, because this kind of resonates exactly what we're going into.
And I saw some comments, they kind of disappear. I saw some comments pop up.
Yeah. So I got one here from Rosie, and before we go into that one, I'm just going to read what Anthony had said afterwards. He said, if God is pure love, the Old Testament is very cruel. I agree with that. In fact, any testament, any Bible, any scripture doesn't have the essence of what my understanding is of God and the higher power. Because one, I've crossed over, near-death experience. I know what I saw. I know what was told to me. I know what I felt. So there isn't a book in the world. There isn't a scripture. There isn't a religion. There isn't a guru that can tell me any different than what I already know. So in that sense, if I read that book, and I've read the New Testament, I've read the Old Testament, and I read the Bible, and there are things in it that, no, this was created for control. If I look at Taoism, Buddhism, if I look at the old ancestral beliefs of spirituality and connection with the earth, now we resonate at the same frequency. Okay. And this opens up to Rosie. Rosie asked the question, do you think there is a fine line between spiritual and delusional? And in many ways, yes. How many people take the word of a book and proclaim it to be a word of God, and then stand up in a protest and speak the word of God? Or how many will stand up and say, I'm the rebirth of the Christ?
It's like a different programming.
Yeah. All of this versus what is the truth of spirit? And I said it coming back, and truth of spirit is first off connecting to here, me, heart, connecting to my energy, connecting to my mind, connecting to my body, understanding my heart, my feelings, my vulnerabilities, my sensitivities, my emotions, and the ability to share in conversation. So if I share insensitivity because I speak about spirituality, it should be, because it is a sensitive subject. You know, there's a lot of things that many people are not awoken to, and are not there, they haven't seen yet. That when you really connect to the awakening, you start to understand what spirit is. You start to see how free spirit is. And when you can arrive at the level of absolute confidence in self, now you're in a spiritual walk of life. Because you walk in truth.
Mm-hmm.
Forget the body and the 5 senses, connect to your soul. Been trying that for 60 years, Anthony. Anthony says, forget the body and the 5 senses and connect to your soul.
That's the whole experience, though. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. He's like, whoa, Gary's on fire. Hi, Nathan. Yeah, we're on a wicked subject tonight, Nathan. And actually on a wicked subject, a beautiful subject, you know, ethics and love. And to get me fired up, talk about love, because I get very fired up when I talk about love and the prospect of what love is. Okay, because a lot of us have never, ever been taught this.
Yeah.
Nobody. My mother taught me by what she was taught and what her mother taught her. But how many of us taught us how to cultivate love, how to understand the sensory perception of love? Love has a physical side of it that's sensorial. Sight, hearing, smell, touch, taste. These senses are needed to enforce the essence of the physical connection of love. But it's also needed to open up the door to the 6th sense. And that's this. This is your third eye, your awakened state, that when you open, okay, fully, and you see wide open, now you see life with love. Even if a lot of stuff that is going on in life right now around us, around the world, is not acts of love, we can still see love. Did you hear the birds chirping this morning? Do you know that they're all having funky stuff going on in the trees? You know, they're chasing each other.
Yeah.
The earth is come alive with the season of love, spring. You know, hibernation,
Right.
coming out, finding a new mate. Okay, how many are trying to get into beach bodies? You know, is there any similarities between the rooster who's got us up like this and, okay, get my beach body going so that I can look good? But why do we only do it for the spring and summer and then we let go for the winter?
Good question.
Why? Do you ever think about that? It's like, I got to get my bikini bod going. Well, you spent the last 3 months eating a whole bunch of things that you don't have the bikini bod anymore. So it's like, why do we only focus on certain times of the year? Again, programmation, as Nathan calls it, peacocking. You know, be proud as a peacock, show your feathers, show your colors, you know, or Jamie just said it's seasonal eating. Wow. We can see where a lot of this has been this sense that's torn away from the truth. And Sophie says, because, okay, comments are coming in faster, I can keep up with them. See what Rosie said here. Because we need more comfort food in the winter, more hearty foods in the sunshine, perhaps less appetite. Okay. Is that because maybe we don't have love in the wintertime? Were you looking for chocolate?
Oh, yeah, chocolate.
Hi, Jesse, my brother. How are you doing tonight? Okay. In fact, oh, by the way, just to let you know, tomorrow night, Jesse and Angeline and myself, we're going to be doing a live. So there'll be the 3 of us. We're going to have a group session. Who knows what we're going to go into? Maybe we'll talk more about love and all of this and everything else. In fact, that's probably what we will, and other things as well. And Anthony eats chocolate all year round. So Kenzie, maybe just eat better chocolate.
Yeah, Gary, you probably know all the good hookups.
Oh, if you want, there's nothing better than Belgian chocolate. Nothing. Okay? Unless you can get the pure cacao. If you can get the pure cacao coming from a good growth, then make your own chocolate. Put your own sweets into it rather than buy the Nestle's chocolate bar. And as
my own chocolate, but I don't know what it is. I think I'm in the process of removing the things I overindulge in to see if that helps.
okay,
Maybe I can reintegrate with less.
sure you can, and then maybe you'll have more. This also comes into something else with food. Is that you can have more respect and more love of food because you've chosen better sources, better understandings. You find out what's good for you, what's not good for you. Okay, it's not because, well, there's a keto diet or there's this diet or there's that diet. It's about finding out what your body, what you listen to, and it requires, and eating accordingly. You know, if you eat to the old rule of 3 meals a day and snacks in between, well, you're going to be fighting with weight up and down all the time.
And your
okay, and the emotions, and many of us, chocolate is an endorphin rush because it makes us feel good. It stimulates the endorphins. It stimulates this energy within us that, you know what? Yes, it's good. A little indulgence of the chocolate. Okay, and I love chocolate. Believe me. We get over here to have a chocolate feast. We're gonna be. In fact, I can probably eat chocolate more than I eat a piece of meat. To be honest with you. Okay.
Lunch and dinner.
Yeah, and I've done that sometimes. It's a quick pick me up in a bar, a chocolate bar is gone, and then afterwards you get the down. Okay, because of the processed sugars and the processed everything in it.
Yeah.
Okay, and so Anthony, just to answer your question, tomorrow night it's at 9:30. I believe Jesse can confirm as well. We're planning to go live at 9:30 tomorrow night, and it'll be from the sanctuary. And next time, Kenzie, instead of fighting with the technology, you'll come over here, or I'll come over there if you wish, or into the backyard. The backyard will open up soon, and we can start doing lives out in the backyard in the sanctuary of intention. So it's a whole other experience.
Oh, I can.
Another level of love.
Lovely.
And now everybody's getting munchies because we're talking about chocolate. Oh my God. Okay. 2 a.m. Mini pizza in the oven.
That's so funny.
Wow. Kenzie, I didn't know where this topic would go tonight because I think there's a lot of people are searching with, what love is and what it is to be in love, what it is to understand and love, how to repair love of self and so on. Okay. And then to turn around and understand the ethics as well. And ethics, to have an ethical love in life is also to show, kindness for me. To be able to show a kind gesture to some person in need is an ethical love because I'm showing love in that gesture. So if I've reached into my pocket and taken out some money to give to somebody that was in need, it's an act of love. It's not an act of, I feel sorry for you. Definitely not. Okay. In fact, I'm doing it because I have love for what it is. And I know that what I'm going to do maybe brought you a smile. And that opens up a little bit of a story the other night. When I was coming home, I stopped at the store, picked up some things. And as I came out the door, there was a gent there and he was shaking. He was cold. And he says, I'm sorry for being a bum, but could you give me a little bit of change so that I can buy myself a coffee? And I looked at him and I said, first off, you're not a bum. Definitely not. So change that verbos because it's a little bit easier to have communication rather than admit that you're a bum. I don't know your story. So I reached into my pocket and I went into my car. I grabbed all the change and I said, here, go get yourself a coffee, get yourself something to eat. And if it helps you find a place to get some warmth, okay? And just don't call yourself a bum. You're not. You're going, you have a story, and that's it. This, if you had seen a smile on his face, and yes, even a tear, because I asked him to stop talking about himself in the negative.
Yeah.
You know, we all do it. We say, like, I fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, you didn't fuck up. You made a mistake. Okay, so learn from it.
Yeah.
Either
That's a big one, the negative self-talk. That was something actually that I was brought awareness in my life, where I would talk highly about myself or talk freely about like a win or something that happened. And then right after that came out of my mouth, I would just chop myself at the knees to downplay
why?
and just bring myself back down. I don't know. I think like from what I've done in my own personal like self-discovery, like I think at some point in my life I talk myself down so that I don't have to hear it from others, right? Because it's easier, but yet that has put me into the perpetual battle with myself. And this was unconscious, completely unconscious, until like probably 6 months ago when somebody called me out on it. And I was like, oh, wow, I do that all the time. And now I catch myself still. And it's a work in progress. But, you know, sometimes we're so unconscious to ourselves. And I think going into that love aspect, it's having someone who is, people who truly love you are not afraid to speak the truth of what they see.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And actually gain that higher awareness of yourself from an outside perspective to continue to grow.
Okay. Well said. Now, I just saw a comment that just came in, and Rosie said, in his shoes, perhaps many people, this is going back to the story I just said, in his shoes, perhaps many people called him a bum, which clearly resonated and stuck in his mind. Yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
But I can also see that if somebody is to empower somebody with another verbos, we can change that programmation. It doesn't matter what somebody sees in me. In fact, honestly, I don't really, I was going to say something vulgar, but I won't. Okay. I don't really have concern about how somebody sees me. I really don't. Okay. What I have concern about is how I see myself, what I'm doing with my actions, what I'm doing with my intent. And if I know if I've set with good intent, I can make my mistakes. And if somebody's going to be judging that, then guess what? That's your problem. You're judging something that maybe you should look in the mirror. Because what we see in somebody that we dislike at times is a reflection of self.
Mm-hmm.
Something in us has set a trigger. If it sparked emotion of dislike, there's a trigger, a memory. Something somewhere along the line we've been programmed by. It could have been a trauma, could have been something tragic, or it could have been something the way that we were just brought up, that we were told that we're never good enough. Okay? And then when we come back to self, to self-love, to understanding this ethical love of self, guess what? Doesn't matter what the other person says about you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you stand strong. And you stand with your own sense of security, because now I'm secure with me. If you don't like my hair, so what? It belongs to you. Simple.
Right.
And we get caught up too much in the nitpicking of the things that we see in somebody that, well, you should change that. Why? If it bothers me, maybe I should change myself. Maybe there's something in me I have to change. Mm-hmm. And then if it still doesn't resonate with me, then maybe it's decide whether or not I want to keep that relationship. Because if there's no respect in the relationship, then there's really no ethical love that's being built. Mm-hmm. Life is 100 kilometers long. Even if we know someone intimately, we only know half an inch of it. Well, that's a good one, Anthony. Mm-hmm. So Anthony says, life is 100 kilometers long. Even if we know someone intimately, we only know a half inch of it.
Yeah.
Because we're constantly evolving. Because when you think you know somebody, you don't. Because they're changing. They're evolving.
And that right there, that's really key in a long-term relationship, because exactly, we almost forget to continue to get to know our partner and who they're becoming because we think they're the person that we met.
Yeah. And we change.
Yeah.
We grow. We evolve. And that's part of being human. That's part of being in this evolutionary process of life. We're living in frequent evolution. And as humans, we are constantly evolving towards a superior species. We are not a superior species as it stands. We think we are, but we're not. We still have a lot to learn, a lot to know, a lot to see. And we have the most fundamental core of all humanity is to reconnect in unity, to grow together, to support together, to ensure that the world has more love to share for tomorrow's children.
Mm-hmm.
If that's not there tomorrow, our words are wasted. So I think we've covered a heck of a lot tonight.
I think so. Yeah.
So I think for tonight, if you're up to, I mean, I can keep going, but I know everybody needs to get a little bit of rest every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we are coming up to 10:58,
Yeah.
almost into 2 hours. In fact, we are into 2 hours. How would you like to join in a meditation with me for the end?
Let's do it.
Okay. So I'm going to set the intent. I'm going to put on some music.
Okay.
And then we're going to take through a little bit of breath.
Okay.
And I'll take you on a journey.
Okay.
So let's see what we can do with the music.
I'm
okay?
gonna turn my lights off.
Yes, you're going to need this. So everybody, as you're connected in with us, I am going to take you into a little bit of meditation and help us connect. And I will take you on a journey, if you wish. Okay, are you ready? First off, let's get the music up. Hey Google, play 417 hertz.
Okay, 417 hertz. Facilitating change from Spotify.
Aha.
Playing on Den TV.
Celestial healing tones. 417 frequency is facilitating change. So, in order to facilitate change, we have to know how to breathe, right? So, breath is very important. So, in order to do breath, is 3 steps. First off is release, hold, then intake, top it up, hold, keep holding, release, breathe in again, hold, release. Listen to the music. Find your breath. Listen to breath. Hear the air enter. Can you feel this essence of life as you breathe? Breathe deeper. Slower. Feel as the lungs fill with life. We, each and every one of us, are here as a purpose. Our purpose is love. Our purpose is to love. And our purpose is to be love. It's time. Let's go for a walk. Open, open, open your eyes inside. See from within the forest that is growing all within, a forest of love. Can you hear and see the essence that is within you? Breathe deeper. Hold. Surrender to breath. In the message and in the imagery of the divine, you have been given a gift. You have been given a divine purpose to grow in love. You are a gift to self, a gift to another, and a gift of love. Believe, seek, feel, and know. Your breath is my breath. Your sight is my sight. See the forest within. Breathe. Allow life to become in you at the same time that you are walking. Life is living in frequent evolution while learning to let others voluntarily evolve. Now it's time to love self, find self, be strong, stand strong, listen to breath, breathe. You are breath. See your breath, feel your breath, breathe. Now it's time to say goodnight. Time to say, we'll see you tomorrow. Time to say, be in love with you. And maybe, why not start with marrying yourself? Because if you truly love yourself, you're married to self for the rest of your life. And it's only just begun. For all of those that have just joined in, thank you very much for joining in. For those that stayed throughout the whole conversation, thank you so much. From behalf of myself and my beautiful co-host, Kenzie, okay, we look forward to doing this again. And I'm sure we'll come up with some very beautiful topics. Or maybe you in the audience have a topic that you wish to hear more about. Leave it in the comments. We'll try and respond to all the comments as quickly as possible. And other than that, peace out, love, honor, be you, be real. And thank you, Kenzie. Thank you for being you. Namaste.